Have you ever wanted to tap into the high-level players and extract the essential tips and tricks to get better at playing at Civ? Well, sit back and relax because I take on the challenge to do just that. Welcome to the Masterclass series. Let's do this. Hey YouTube, it's your boy Widgie here, and I have another masterclass for you, and it is with the legendary Ezad, and we are going to be looking at the India masterclass today. But before we get into that, I thought I would hand it over to Ezad very briefly just to introduce himself. So Ezad, how you doing, man? Why don't you take it away?
Hey, hello Widgie, glad to be here. Well, about myself, I've been playing Age of Empires 3 for a long time, actually. I think since 2010. Or 11.
Yeah.
And actually I started like offline first and then online 2012 or something. And so I just made team games and stuff, but never played 1v1. But after I started the 1v1 grind in 2018 on Legacy. And yeah, since then I've mained some Civ, which was also India. And yeah, it's one of my favorite Civs till now.
Fantastic. That's quite late on, isn't it? 2018, did you say?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, because a lot of people obviously start a lot earlier and have been playing the game for a lot earlier since then. But 2018, that's relatively, so you could say you're relatively new compared to other players.
In the 1v1 scene, in the 1v1 scene, yes. Well, but still, I've played versus all the good players in the past, like Kaiser on EP or Hazza and all the other guys. We were pretty known, so I just got to the meta pretty quick.
And you're like top 5 at the moment, aren't you? Are you still up there?
That. I think I'm somewhere in the top 10.
Top 10, definitely, yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I can definitely see the grind happening. I think at one point you were definitely 3rd place on the leaderboard when I last checked, but it may have changed. Okay, cool. So before we get into India and specific tips for that Civ, could you give one general tip to everyone that would improve their game no matter what Civ they're playing?
There's one general tip, which is so important, but so many people don't do it. It's super simple. It's just scouting. When you're playing H2, you just do your builder and stuff, but you forget about your opponent. You're just trying to see you have an eye on your own city, but scouting the opponent and checking what unit he goes for, that's just the way to win games, right? Just if he opens with a stable, then you make an anti-curve and stuff like that. You know, or if he just does an FF, you play more aggressive or doing timing or something else. And that's a really common mistake which I see in pretty all elo ranges at some point. But obviously in the higher at 2K, everyone scouts. Like it's just I know how, but in the lower elos, it's just a thing you have to.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to maybe just go a certain build and they just blindly go a build, not thinking about what their opponent could potentially do. So, yeah, I think I've been learning to do that a little bit more, seeing potentially, just after getting into Age 2, have a little scout, see what they're putting down, have any resources dropped on the TC. If there's a bunch of gold, is someone early mining gold, that might mean they're going Age 3 early or something like that. So, I think I've been doing that, me personally, a little bit more, trying to be a bit more reactive and a bit more flexible. With the build orders. So yeah, and that's a really good, basic, simple tip, but hopefully people will take that on board. And obviously don't try and lose your explorer, just sort of dip in, dip out kind of thing. Don't commit too much, just try and see what
exactly. It's also another thing, like if you know there's gonna be the next big fight will decide the game, you just go the front with your explorer, as you said, and just check the composition of your opponent. So you see, okay, it's a lot of cap. Okay, I need something to block or about goons or stuff like that. It's just it's so simple. Just do that.
Yeah, fantastic, awesome. Getting into the nitty gritty, then getting to India. What is your first tip that you could give Indian players?
The first tip is always the 2 trickles they have. They in India Indian Civilization has 2 trickles, with the small trickle in H1 and the big trickle in H2.
Yeah.
And it's pretty important to send both at some point. Like it's just sad to not send it. It's I don't know how many builds this is, but it's a big. It could be like 5 builds on wood constantly with the big trickle, 4 builds. It's just insane shipment, and that's the first tip I would say.
Yep.
You should go as with Indian. And the second tip, I've seen many players who somehow don't like the elephant cards, which got added, or either added new to the game, or like the old cards. For example, there's either Elephant Combat in H3 or the new card Elephant Armor in H4 for 500 wood or 500 coin. I would personally have both in the deck nowadays, since elephants are actually super decent. And some player I know, they just skip these cards.
I'm probably guilty there. Because I just don't know how to plan for it macro wise and stuff. Like it can be a bit tricky with getting like Ellie's involved and stuff like that. I'm not too used to using them.
You should, because the mahouts are just, I mean, you have always wood in the bank because you're India, always have the trickles and many wills and wood. And food is also the easiest resources for the income. So the macro for elephants is not that hard. So,
okay. All right. Fantastic.
And
what's your second tip for Indian players?
The elephant was already the second.
Oh right, okay, I see what you've done. Oh, sorry, I ignore me. I'm losing the plot.
The third tip is there's also a card which gives it's called Royal Green Jacket. That's basically your counter rifling tech for example, for the European civilizations. They have this tech in their arsenal, but the Indians don't have an arsenal. They have to ship a shipment for that. Like if you have a matchup where you face a lot of musketeers, for example, versus Sweden, or it could be also soldados from the Mexican player. In these matchups, you really need this card to get an advantage at some point. I would always have this card in deck.
So the green jackets as well,
I have so many decks with India. One with this card, one without. So you could also add to the third tip, have many deck for many situations.
Yeah, of course. Like maybe for certain strategies or against certain civs. Some people obviously have one deck for each kind of civ and stuff like that. If you obviously play the civ quite a lot, but maybe just 2 or 3 variations with a few cards switched in and switched out might be quite good.
Exactly.
Fantastic. All right, fantastic. Well, I hope those tips have helped you guys. So just really focusing on the 2 wood trickles, trying to make sure you always get both of those in, focusing more on elephants because of those recent card changes and how effective they are. And then the final one was the green jackets. So the Royal Green Jackets, using that to really boost your Gurkhas a lot more because of the lack of counter infantry rifling, because you don't have that with India. The next part is, what is your meta build at the moment for India? What's the kind of standard go-to strong build that you're currently running with India?
Well, there are different build orders, obviously, which you can go for India. That's for example also a region I like. That's if you can go water, you can go land boom, you can go whatever you like. Also TP boom and stuff. But there's also one basic build order, which I recommend to start if you go to India. It's just going with the small trickle, as you mentioned earlier, in H1. And the second card is in H2, the 700 wood to open it. Like with then you have already, then you can macro your villagers on food and coin just for producing units. And with the 700 wood, you can do wills and maybe some market checks, adding new military buildings, or just depends on the strat what you're doing. But always when you ship 700 wood, you should always add a consulate. That's always, the case.
So
Because after that,
yeah. So you recommend going the 700 wood when you get into age 2, dropping down a consulate. Do you normally, most of the time, 99% of the time, do you go for the Otto
yes.
ally? Yeah. And then I imagine you probably open up into Delis or you go Vils, depending on if you want to be greedy or depending on how the matchup's going.
Depending on the matchups. For example, versus Sweden, you want 3 dailies just to have a look around for the builds who are building torps out of the map.
Yeah.
And also for timing pushes, could 3 dailies be good? Like you just train the dailies and ship 4 Zovas after, so you have to have big timing. For example, depoys and a small a calf mass.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What's your kind of sort of favorite compositions, like army compositions? I know it does depend on what your opponent is doing, but like, do you normally go Sepoy and Gurkha as one, and then do you normally go like Zambarak, Gurkha as another? What's your kind of, how are you playing it at the moment? Because you mentioned that you like to use the Ellies and stuff, and Halder or Mahouts, sorry. So how are you sort of playing around with compositions?
Well, it used to be just full infantry and just Sepoy and Gurkha before the Zephyr nerf with the melee nerf, and after that, it was kind of sad because it was my favorite composition to go for.
Yeah.
Because Sepoy was so strong versus hand calf in general, and nowadays it's a bit hard now for the Civ.
Yeah.
So the thing is, Rashputs are super good against hand calf, but still it's a pike unit. You know, if your opponent micros his calf well, the pikes in the front just get all the hits from the infantry from the opponent.
Yeah.
So they die so super easily. So you have to play very careful with the Rashputs.
Yeah.
So therefore I just go Skirm Goon actually nowadays since the Sepoy nerf, because it didn't got nerfed and it's still strong. And I tend to build less Depoy, at least in H3. They're still good. I mean, in shooting fights, but if it comes to melee, it's pretty tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and you also ship the. Usually, I add Sovars at some point, but it's when I have the ability to the armor card for the elephants, I don't do Sovars anymore and make Mahouts. Like the composition should be then Gurkha, Samburak, and some Mahouts.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. Hopefully, that is going to help you guys out. Hopefully when you get into age 3 and stuff with India, think about that maybe, you know, using Gurkha Zams more rather than going down the Sepoy route. But the final sort of question, kind of a fun question, what is a potential fun or meme build that you've gone in the past, or maybe you've done it recently, that you have a lot of fun with India?
Well, there's one build which is actually pretty bad, but if it's funny if it works.
Yeah.
But it's bad. It's just you age with the Manstaba, or I don't know what it's called, like the
Charmina Gate.
Charmina, exactly. Charmina Gate in H2, and you receive 2 Zovars, and your first shipment is 4 Zovars, and you train the Manstaba Zovar. So you have a timing of 6 Zovars plus the Manstaba at like 5:30 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you push. But the thing is, if you fail, then it's bad. Obviously, it's bad. But the thing is, with the Kanimata, you have the crates to add the Rex. Over if you age with the Agra, you have the Rex, generally the Agra fort, right?
Yeah, of course.
And with the Charmina Gate, you don't have that. You have to chop for everything, and also for market text and everything. So it's really slow. You have
so
to
so it's basically like an all-in, pretty much.
Yeah.
If it fails, you've lost pretty much.
Yeah. It doesn't look great, but the thing is, the Zovas are pretty speedy, so you can get away if it's coming too close to other calf or something like that.
I'll have to try that out in like a lobby game or something.
Yeah, you can try it. I just tell you, it's a bad build order, but it's funny if it works.
Yeah. I actually have heard of that one before. There's quite a few for India, but that one I haven't heard. So No, that's pretty funny. All right, awesome. Well, there we go, guys. Nice, short and sweet. About 15 minutes there with Ezad. All I got to say is, Ezad, thanks very much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys have learned something about India as well. Quite a good few tips there with recent changes to them as well, with nerfs from the sepoys and stuff like that. So hopefully you can take something away. If you haven't tried India, give them a go. They're very, very different to other civs because of their macro. But once you do get a hang of them, they are very rewarding and a fun civ. You can do lots of things with them. So yeah, all I can say finally is, Ezad, thanks very much, mate. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And hopefully you guys can learn something, and I can't wait to see the comments. And yeah, it will be out very shortly, Ezad, so I hope you enjoy it when it is out.
Sure, I will.
Lovely. All right. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.